Greetings, everyone. This is God, Earth Goddess. It's been a long time, but I'm back with another video. And I just wanted to do a video about a recent experience that I had. So, as you all know, I do not agree with or implement any part of the educational system with my children. My children are homeschooled or unschooled. So I recently took a job as a first grade teacher because I felt as if, my children are not in the education system and, I don't agree with this system, but, I can work in it and, manage in it, working from a preschool environment. I can, be a teacher in a K through 12 or rather K through 8 environment and it not really affect me because, my beliefs are my beliefs. And, it's just work. It's just working. It's not like, you know, I agree with this system. A job is a job. So, after looking at a lot of openings for preschools, I saw an opening for a first grade teacher at a local charter school, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to apply and see. So, I ended up getting hired on as a first grade teacher, and that was the most horrific experience ever. And I'm saying that because I lasted a total of 3 weeks at that school. I lasted 2 weeks of training and the first week of school. And my thing is, I have my own set of beliefs about the education system, and I have my own set of beliefs about everything, but I don't let that impede on my work or my work environment. I feel like I can still work in any environment and make it work because my beliefs do not come into where I'm working. So my belief about the education system wouldn't come into me working, like actually doing a job. Couldn't do it. And the reason why I realized I couldn't do it is because as soon as I got to the school, they had 2 weeks of intense training, which was nice, but the training was basically based more so if you had done K through 8th training or teaching before. So it built off of that. So if you were brand new, like I was from preschool, you had to learn everything from scratch, which they did not have time to tell you or teach you because it was only 2 weeks of training. So when I got there, we had those 2 weeks where we had all of the faculty, or rather most of the faculty and staff and teachers meeting and all these meetings and trainings. And I naturally am a high vibrating person. I naturally vibrate high. I'm not trying to sound cocky. I'm not trying to sound rude. It's just how I vibrate. I'm a natural light worker. So, with me being a natural light worker and going into a school, now schools are low vibrational buildings. And the reason I say they're low vibrational buildings is because it's because of how the school is set up. Most schools are sectioned off into squares, whether it be the cafeteria or the classroom or the art room. Every room is a square, and most of the desks are rectangles or squares. Squares are or is the most conflicting shape that there is. So it sends a psychological message of constraint, of imprisonment, and it's a very low vibrational shape. And it's a very low vibrational shape to be in because it has 4 corners. And corners are spaces of where negative energy gathers. This is why subconsciously a lot of people like myself will put something in a corner because you're trying to deflect that negative energy that's in that corner. So schools, not just elementary schools, all of them are full of corners and squares. Whether it's a charter school, private school, public school, that's how the buildings are built. And it's built that way by design because if you research the school system, it was made specifically to target the psyche of the child and to get them, train them to conform and train them to be workers and train them to have group think and train them to not advance on a spiritual level. So it's like a psychological attack on your subconscious. So the vibrational frequency as a whole, with all those squares and corners and all those psychological things, the building itself, when I walked in, you could feel the vibration shift from the outside and the inside. You could actually feel the vibrational level of that building at a lower pace than just regular outside, because of all of the conflicting things and psychological things that happen in that building. And it's not necessarily the fault of people who work there. It's just that that's how the school system, period, the American school system is designed to be. If you don't know what I'm referring to, look up the Prussian school system. Prussian, Prussin. That Prussia is what Germany used to be called in the 1800s. The American school system is based off of the Prussian school system, and it was psychological training to train people from the ages of 5 to 18 to be workers, compliant, group thinkers, and not excel. So back to what I was saying. So I already could feel the vibration was different. So I was like, okay, the vibration in here is funny. So I was like, when I get to my classroom, I'm just going to feng shui it. I'm going to put my desks in a way so that they don't have sharp edges, corners, or straight lines, so the energy can flow. I put my desk in a semicircle. I blocked the windows at the back of the classroom because you don't want the energy to be fleeting out of the room. You don't want their energy to be fleeting because they won't focus. So I feng shuied the room. I put a light in the doorway. I was like, to try to combat the low vibrational frequency in the classroom. So, the first 2 weeks I did okay. That first week when the students came for their first week of school, which was my third week there, that's when things began to crumble. Because when the students came, it was like the children were not allowed to be children at any point of the entire day. We were told to stand at the door, and as they walk in, you greet, you tell them to sit, you tell them to sit quietly, and they're immediately supposed to be giving something to do. Immediately. It is 7:30 a.m. First off, these children are up too early. Why are we giving them something to do at 7:30? Why can't they come in the classroom, decompress? Like, even as adults, don't you hate it when you go to work and as soon as you walk in the door, it's like work? Like, you need time to have a breather. But schools don't allow children to do that. They have to immediately come in and start doing something. Also, they fill up the day with so many lessons. We had so many things we had to teach them that the children had no time to be children. Like, I'm constantly saying, sit down, be quiet, sit down, be quiet. Not because I'm yelling, sit down, be quiet, because the children weren't listening, because they're children and they're rambunctious and they want to move around. They want to come out of their seat. They want to be children, but they're not allowed to do that because they give you so much that you have to put on them that you literally don't have the time to like have them do anything other than sit down and look and listen. I didn't like that at all. I didn't like that one bit, because it's like, when do they get a chance to like kind of just sit and be children? I get it. You're supposed to be teaching them or giving them work, but like, it's just the constant sit down and look at me. For 5 and 6 year olds, that's not gonna fly. They're children. They're gonna wiggle. They're gonna fidget. They had this thing where the children had to sit up erect, not slouch, look straight at the board, and they had to do this the whole time I'm teaching. Mind you, some of the lessons are 30 to 45 minutes long. What child is going to sit erect that long? And if an administrator comes in and they're like, they're not sitting up, they get in trouble for not sitting up, but I've been teaching for 20 minutes. Like, they're going to eventually slouch. They're going to get tired. They're going to start fidgeting, moving, because they're children. Like, when are they given the space to just be them? So that was like, that was really annoying for me. Another annoyance, and which really made me upset, was lining them up to take them to the bathroom, which took like 20 minutes. Not because they didn't go to the bathroom and they took too long. It was because there was a process for lining up. And I remember this type of thing when I was in school. They had to line up. Their arms had to be straight by their sides. They had to be looking straight ahead. They had to have no talking and no movement. Why? Like, that was so, like, that is so militant to me. And they had to do this from one end of the hallway, which was a long hallway, to the other end where the bathrooms were. If my class started coming out of this formation, I, or another administrator who happened to be in the hallway, had to redirect them. Most of the redirection at this particular school was yelling and shouting. They resorted to yelling and shouting at these children a lot to get them to listen, because at certain points they weren't listening. But it wasn't they weren't listening. They appeared to not be listening, because you're taking children who are 5 and 6 years old and expecting them to sit erect and still in class all day, stand erect in the hallway with no noise and no movement, most like 90% of the day when they're out of the classroom. And eventually they're going to wiggle. Eventually they're going to break. It's going to crack. And when you see it cracking, when you see it cracking, you don't acknowledge that, okay, they're children. You just start yelling because you want them to comply. So all this is going on around me. So I worked Monday of the third week. I worked Tuesday. This is the week when they came to school. And then by Wednesday, the low vibrational frequency of that building had gotten into my aura field so much that I became physically sick. I had nausea and headaches, and I had to call in. And this is the third day of school, and I had to literally call in. I developed a eye twitch. I was really, really sick. So at Thursday, I came back to work. And before I came back to work that Wednesday when I had to call in, I talked to Mother Gaia Earth, who is myself, another version of myself, and I talked to the sun. Actually, the sun talked to me first. I walked outside feeling sick that Wednesday in my pajamas, and the sun shined down on me, and he said, step into my sunlight so I can clean your aura out. And that is exactly what he says. Like, your aura needs to be cleared out, because I had accumulated, y'all, so much negative, low vibrational energy from that school. It was just floating around in my aura and making me feel horrible. So I stood in the sun and let him bathe me with his light so that my aura could be cleared out. Then I put my hands on the earth, and as soon as I put my hands on the earth, she said, you need to get back to the basics. What are you doing? You can't be there. You can't be there. And I said, okay, I'm gonna have to quit, because the sun is trying to help me. The earth is telling me I don't need to be there. And so I came back Thursday. By Thursday, I was just like done. I had been talking to my boyfriend for the longest time about everything. And he was saying, no, you don't need to quit. This is a life lesson for you. Maybe you can bring enlightenment to them. Maybe this is just a learning lesson for you. I was like, no. I need to quit. So I come back Thursday, and it's just everything about that building was aggravating me. Like how they treated the children. Constant yelling. The children had a recess. The recess was 20 minutes. The state of Georgia only requires 20 minutes of non-instructional time for first graders. 20 minutes. They're there for 6 hours. And the state only allows for 20 minutes recess, 30 minutes lunch. Meaning if your child attends school, okay, whether it's public or charter or private, they are only allowed 2 spaces to have some kind of freedom, okay? 30 minutes lunch, 20 minutes, that's 50, that's less than an hour. That's 50 minutes of just being able to not be sitting there stuck looking at someone for hours. And even during lunch, it was very, very sad, because you're thinking, okay, this is lunch. They get to sit down and conversate. We come into the cafeteria. First thing, they have this lady on a mic. Why? I don't know. She's like, quiet. Silent lunch. Everybody become in. I'm like, what? Why are we silent? They just walked into the door. They didn't even walk in loud. Like, what's the problem? So they have to come in and be silent. The first 10 minutes of their 30-minute lunch is a silent lunch for no apparent reason. They don't get to talk to their friends. And then when they do get to talk, they have to talk very, very low. And we're coached to walk up to them and behind them, encourage them to eat and not talk so much. So they don't get to conversate and talk to each other. When they try to talk in class, then that's a no-no. They have to pay attention and look at the board then. And I'm really thinking, like, this system is really made up for compliance. You are just teaching children to be nodding, listening workers who don't question authority, who accept the status quo, who aren't asking the right questions, who aren't trying to change anything. This is not enlightening them. This is jail. This is prison. And I was like, this is horrible. Like, this, I cannot work. Even if I wanted to be a teacher to enlighten them, to help them, to, even though I was working in a system that I didn't like, I was thinking maybe the universe can use me in this position to help at least the 30 children in my group to have enlightenment, or to lead them to that. But I couldn't even, because the low vibrational frequency of every aspect of that building was making me physically sick and giving me signs of stress. My shoulders were stiff from stress. I was getting an eye twitch from stress. It was so much. It was absolutely horrible. So Friday was my last day there. I just left all of my things that belonged to the school there, all the stuff that belonged to me. I packed it up and I left, and I put in my resignation on Sunday night, and I emailed that off, and they called me Monday and was like, what happened? And I was like, because it's just the vibrational frequency of that building does not mesh with me. And it was having a stressful impact on me and my life. I'm a light worker. This is dark magic. I cannot be here. And this is not just the building that I worked in. This is all of the school buildings. Because I remember going to public school as a child and being treated the same way. And I thought it was normal. And I just accepted it as being normal. And that's what those children are doing. They're just accepting it as being like normal. Oh, we get yelled at. Oh, we can't talk during lunch. Oh, we only get 20 minutes to go outside and play. Oh, we have to sit straight and look up, and we have to be like this for the whole time. Oh, when we go in the hallway, we have to stand militant. This is their life. And that's sad. They've accepted it. And that's what I did as a child. I accepted it because you don't know any better. And it's just sad. So if your child, not just elementary, if your child is in any branch of K through 12, and I'm not just specifically talking about public, I'm talking about public, private, charter, because you have to realize public, private, charter are all teaching the same thing and have very similar ways of doing things. People say, oh, charters do it different, private do it different. No, they're teaching the same basic things, but it's just that they may do it a little different, or have extracurricular stuff that the school does, or smaller class sizes, or more, funding. But the basis of what's going on is the same across the board. That's why everybody gets the same basic diploma from all three. Like, it doesn't matter where you go, you're going to get the same basic diploma because it's the same basic concepts. If your child is in the school system at all, if they just went back to school, take them out. Like, seriously, take your children out of school. This is madness. And even if a light worker like me comes in to help the situation, you can't, because it's vibrating so low that it's going to affect your health and your mental health. So take your child out of school. It is detrimentally serious, and it's detrimentally important that you take your children out of these schools. It's really sad. I haven't been in a school in a long time, and I had to, when I stepped back in and saw again for what it was, and it's almost a hopeless situation. And the teachers there, they really think they're doing a good thing. They don't know. The teachers, then the teachers, like, I was part of a group chat for the teachers, and they were constantly working. Like, they would get off work and then be texting about work. And then they'll spend the whole weekend doing stuff for work. And I'm like, even the teachers, it's like they're running off of, like, they're robotic. Like, stop working. Stop working. Like, and it's like, people who work at home when you don't really have to are mind-boggling to me. Like, stop. There should be a divider. And it's everybody's like, it's robotic, it's brainwashing, it was horrible. So I'm just letting you guys know about my experience. Maybe I can reach someone or something, because that was just take your children out of school, please. And my family gives me a lot of flack for my children not being in school, but I can't put them through that. I can't. God, I can't do that. I don't know. But this is Gaia Earth Goddess, and I was just telling you about my experience. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I will talk to you guys later. All right. Bye-bye.